Hey guys, here's what we're going to be making today. It is this little Battenberg cake slice plush. And I really don't know what made me come up with this idea, it was just really random, but I thought it would be cute if we made all these little cubes separately so that we can take them out, just like this. And yeah, it forms a little cake slice. Also, in the tutorial I obviously made the pink and yellow kind, which I think is kind of the most common, but of course you could do these two cubes in different colours and make lots of different variations. So yeah, this plushie is super cute and really simple to make. As you can see, there's only basic stitches involved, so it's perfect for any beginner or anyone that just wants to make a really simple plush. So yeah, I'm just going to get started by listing the materials that you will need. To make this plush, I'm using felt in the colours tan, cream and pink. You will also need thread in matching colours plus black if you want to do a face. The template, which you can download in the video description. Fabric scissors, a sewing needle and some stuffing. So first we're going to make these little cubes. To do this you will need to cut out one piece from this template and two pieces from this template. Now thread your needle with pink thread. And now taking your rectangular piece and one of the square pieces, we're going to use a blanket stitch to attach this rectangular piece all the way around the edge. Once you've sewn all the way around, you can cut off the excess, just like that. And now I'm just going to sew this edge closed, and I think this is called a hidden stitch, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. And then once you've done that, I'm just going to add some stuffing inside this section. And then placing the second square on top, try to make sure it lines up with the corners of the first square. I'm just going to do the same thing and I'm going to sew the blanket stitch all the way around the edge. Here is what that looks like, and now to get rid of this thread, all you need to do is put it into the plush, pretty much right next to where you came out. And I'm just going to go all the way through and come out at a random place at the other side, just like that. And then if you pull the thread pretty tightly and then cut it off, sorry, I know my camera's being blurry, you just pull and then cut, and then as you can see the thread is just hidden inside the plush. So now you want to repeat this and make 3 more cubes. As you can see, you will need to make 2 cream coloured cubes and also two pink cubes, just like that. If you want to do a face, I would recommend just using some black thread and sewing on a little face onto one of your squares before you make it into a cube. Now once you've done that, we're just going to put these to one side, and then using your tan coloured felt and this long rectangular template, you will need to cut out 2 pieces. And now as you can see, I actually cut one of the pieces slightly shorter than the other one. I just cut off round about 7mm, just under 1 centimetre. Now thread your needle with cream coloured thread, and taking one of those rectangular pieces, place the 2 ends together to form a circle like this. Then I'm going to use my cream coloured thread to just sew down here and secure that in place. Just like that, and then do the same thing for the other piece. So now you should have 2 circle pieces, and you should see that one is slightly larger than the other one. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the small circle inside the big circle. As you can see, it should fit nicely inside like this, and you want to try and make sure that the 2 seams where you've sewn up are around about the same place. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my cream coloured thread again, and I'm going to sew all the way around here using a blanket stitch. Once you've done that, you can turn it over and do the same thing on the other side. And as I'm sewing, I'm just going to add a tiny little bit of stuffing as I go. Here is what that looks like once it's all done. And now all I'm going to do is I'm going to put these 4 cubes inside here in the traditional Battenberg pattern. then once you've done that, then we are finished. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you do make this plush, then I would love to see a video response, or you can post a picture on my Facebook or Instagram. All of my links are in the video description. So yeah, if you have any requests for future tutorials, you can leave those in the comments below, and I shall see you in my next tutorial. Bye guys! Hey guys, here's what I'm going to be making today. It is this little gingerbread man house, and I think this plush is super duper cute, and one thing that I really like about it is that it is completely customizable. And so what that means is that basically when you guys make this plush, you can make it in whatever design you like, and I think that's a really cute thing to do rather than just copying my design. So as you can see, before I started making the plush, I drew out what I wanted it to look like. And I think that's a really good idea because it just makes it so much simpler when you're cutting out all the pieces and stuff, if you have an idea in your head. So yeah, I really hope you guys make these, and if you do, I would love to see a video response. And yeah, I'm going to get started by listing the materials that you will need. To make this plush, you'll need felt in various colours. You will also need the template, which you can download in the video description, thread in the same colours as your felt, fabric scissors, a sewing needle, and some stuffing. First we're going to cut out the pieces. Using a coloured pencil, trace around your house templates onto brown felt. We're going to need 2 of this piece, 2 of this piece, and 1 of this piece. Cut out the pieces and you should get something like this. Okay, so to make the windows look like they have light behind them, I'm actually using fabric paint to paint on the background. And to do this, you need to take your little template. It's actually kind of like a stencil. I'm going to include this in the link in the description as well. And what I'm using is a mixture of yellow fabric paint and a little bit of white emulsion. And just placing the stencil on top, I'm just going to paint it in like this. And basically the stencil just lets you get a nice, neat shape that is hopefully the same size as the window frame that we're going to put on top. So I'm just painting this in. And the reason why I say do this before you cut out the pieces is that so that by the time all the pieces are cut out, this part should be dry, and so you should be able to sew it right on. So once you're done painting, you just need to lift it up, and as you can see, you get a nice neat shape. Okay, so next we're going to cut out the pieces for these little decorations. And like I said at the start, it is completely up to you how you decorate your house, so feel free to just change up the design and make it your own. To make the window frame, I used my template to cut out a piece that looks like this. I then folded this piece in half lengthways and used my fabric scissors to cut out a hole in the middle section. And if you do that correctly, you should end up with something like this. I then used my template to cut out another piece, and I'm just going to use my fabric scissors again to cut out a cross shape from this piece. Here is what that looks like, and now you can see that when I place my arc piece over the top of the cross piece, you get what looks like a window frame. Repeat this step to make the other window frame. Okay, so now I'm going to make these 3 little heart biscuits that I included on my design. So I used my heart template to cut out 3 pieces from this tan coloured felt. That's going to be the biscuit base. And then I also chose 3 other coloured felts, and I used the same template to cut out these hearts. Then I made the coloured hearts slightly smaller so that they can fit onto the biscuit pieces. And then used a fell stitch to attach the coloured pieces to the base pieces. To make the door, I used my door template to cut out this piece. And then I sewed this tiny button on the front to make it look like a door handle. Okay, so now I'm going to make the little lollipop. So as you can see, I've cut out these 3 pieces. This piece is for the stick, and then I have a red and a green circle piece. Then I cut my red circle into a spiral shape like this, and sewed this onto the green circle using a fell stitch. Then I cut out a slightly larger white circle, and again used a fell stitch to attach the green and red piece onto the white piece. Now all you have to do is attach the little stick, and the lollipop is finished. To make these pieces that go down the side of the side pieces, I've just cut out 2 strips of felt, one in red and one in green. Place them back to back and secure that in place using a couple stitches at each end. And then, as you can see, if you twist them like this, you get this really pretty spiral pattern. The window frame at the back is a lot simpler than the one on the front. So all I've done is just cut out a brown circle, and then again I just cut out a hole from the middle of it. Finally, I'm just cutting out some little coloured circles, and these are going to go on the roof of the house, some on the front, on the sides, just basically to fill up any of the empty spaces. I also made this Merry Christmas sign by just embroidering the letters onto white felt. Okay, so now all of our pieces have been cut out, we can start to attach these onto the base pieces. Okay, so here is what all of my pieces look like after I have sewn them on. Obviously yours will look different if you're using different designs and things, but basically I just used the fell stitch for these big pieces like these hearts, and then for the little circles I just used 1 stitch in each circle, if you guys can see that, and yeah. Okay, so once all of the sides have been decorated, we're going to sew the whole thing together. So lay out your pieces like this with the base piece on the bottom and then the 4 side pieces around the edges. And I'm just going to use a blanket stitch to attach those 4 pieces in place. Here is what that looks like. And now using the blanket stitch again, I'm just going to sew up the remaining 4 sides. Okay, so here is what that should look like. You can see that we're starting to get the shape of the gingerbread house. And now, as you can see, you should have these 2 little pieces on either side that kind of like stick out from the rest of the house. And that's just so that when we put the roof piece on, it's going to overhang a little bit. So yeah, just using the blanket stitch again, place this piece on top. And make sure that you sew the blanket stitch on these little flaps just so that you don't get any holes. Here is a close-up of what that piece should look like. And then basically just carry on sewing all the way around the top of the house, add some stuffing and then sew up the gap. And then once you've done that, then we are finished. So yeah, I'm super happy with how this one turned out. I think it is really, really cute and I love how squishy it is as well. It's just like, So yeah, if you guys do make this plush, then I would love to see a video response. I'm really excited to see the designs that you guys come up with. And yes, thank you so much for watching. Bye guys. Hey guys, here's what we're going to be making today. It is this little banana plushie. And this one was actually a request. It was requested by Jude Hamza. So thank you so much for requesting that. This plushie is actually super duper simple and I think it turned out quite cute. It only took me around about 40 minutes to make, and that was with filming as well, so it's super quick. And yes, this part does come out. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I'm just going to get started by listing the materials that you'll need. To make this plush, you'll need felt in the colours yellow, cream and dark brown. You will also need the same colours in the thread plus black, the template which you can download in the video description, fabric scissors, a sewing needle and some stuffing. First we're going to cut out the pieces. From your smaller template, cut 3 pieces from cream felt, and from the larger template, cut 3 pieces from yellow felt. Finally, from this small circle template, cut 1 piece from brown felt. Now it's time to start sewing. Take one of your cream coloured pieces, and I'm just using black thread, and I'm going to sew a face onto the front of this section. Here is what mine looks like. Of course you don't have to do this face, you can do a different face if you prefer. But now the next step is to take another one of those cream coloured pieces, and I'm just going to place this on top so the 2 pieces are back to back right sides together. And then using my cream coloured thread and a blanket stitch, I'm going to sew all the way from this top point all the way down one side, stopping just a few centimetres before the bottom. Here is what that looks like, and now because we're going to be turning this inside out, you need to make sure that your loose stitches are on this side and not on that side. So now the next thing we're going to do is just open this up and take your final cream coloured piece, and then just lining it up like this, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to sew with a blanket stitch from this point all the way down this edge, stopping a couple centimetres from this point. Here is what that should look like. And now finally I'm just going to sew these 2 edges together doing the exact same thing. Once you've done that, it should look like this, and as you see I have a little opening here, so I'm just going to turn this inside out and now add some stuffing to this section. Once you've done that, take your cream coloured thread and use a ladder stitch to close this gap right here. To do the ladder stitch, all you have to do is you have to keep going on the inside of the fabric. So if you see here, my needle is going onto the inside, and I'll just pull it through, and then you go to the other side and you pull it in the inside, and you basically keep doing that and pulling your thread tight, and then it closes the gap. You don't have to use this stitch, but this is just the one I find the easiest. Once you've done that, it should look something like this, and now we're just going to put this piece to one side, and taking these 3 yellow pieces, we're going to make the skin. So I'm just going to place 2 of these pieces back to back, and then using my yellow thread and a blanket stitch, I'm going to sew from one of the points up until around about the middle of this edge. This time we're not going to turn it inside out, so that means that your loose stitches should be on the wrong side of the fabric. Now once you've done that, I'm just going to take this final piece, and again I'm just going to line up these edges, and using a blanket stitch I'm going to sew halfway up this edge. And then finally just do the same thing for the final side. Now once you've done that, we're almost finished. The last thing I'm going to do is just taking this small circle piece we cut earlier. I'm just going to place this on the bottom like that, and then using my brown thread and a fell stitch I'm just going to secure that in place. Once you've done that, all you have to do is put this banana piece inside here, and then we are finished. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you do make this plush, then I would love to see a video response, or you can send me a picture on Facebook or Instagram. All my links are in the video description. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you in my next tutorial. Bye guys! Hey guys, here's what we're going to be making today. It is this really cute little mushroom plush, and this has actually been requested quite a lot, but I did not write down any of the usernames, so I'm sorry I can't credit one person in particular. But yeah, I think it turned out really cute, and it's super simple to make, so I think it will be perfect if you are maybe a beginner at sewing. Maybe this is your first 3D plushie, because there's actually only 4 pieces plus these dots, so yeah, it's super duper simple. I did want to really quickly say a huge thank you to all of you guys that left me really positive feedback on my bento tutorial. I will be doing a part 2. I'm going to do that next weekend because I'm still trying to alternate simple plushies with complicated ones. So I have a simple plushie today. I think it turned out really cute, and so I hope you guys enjoy. To make this plush, you'll need felt in the colours white, red and cream. You will also need the same colours in thread plus black, the template which you can download in the video description, fabric scissors, a sewing needle and some stuffing. First we're going to cut out the pieces. Using your red felt, cut 1 piece from this template, and then using your cream coloured felt, cut 1 piece from this template, 1 from this template and 1 piece from this template. You will also need to cut out some white circles, and these are going to go on the top of the mushroom. I chose to do all of mine the same size, but you could of course do them all different sizes. It's completely up to you. Now it's time to start sewing. Thread your needle with black thread and sew a little face onto your red piece. Now thread your needle with red thread, and we're going to put this little mushroom together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these points and I'm going to put the points together, and the bit that you've sewn the face on needs to be on the inside because we're going to flip it inside out. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my blanket stitch to sew across this edge just up until the point. Here is what that looks like, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the next point and line it up just like that, and then again I'm just going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to sew using the blanket stitch to sew this edge together just like that, and then finally I'm going to do the same thing for the remaining 2 edges. When you're sewing down the final edge, you can actually sew all the way down to the bottom, and then you can just flip the entire thing inside out and it should look something like this. Now thread your needle with white thread, and one by one we're just going to sew these circles that we cut out earlier onto the top of this mushroom using a fell stitch. Here is what that looks like. As you can see, I chose to do 1 circle right on the top of the mushroom, and then I did my other 4 circles one on each of the little points, if that makes sense. So now we're going to move on to making the bottom piece. Using your cream coloured thread, I'm going to take this rectangular piece and I'm going to put the two edges together like that, and then sew down this edge using a fell stitch. Just like that. And now taking your small circle piece that we cut out earlier, I'm just going to place this on the top, and then I'm going to use the blanket stitch to sew all the way around this edge and secure that in place. Here is what that looks like. And now taking this kind of donut shaped piece, what we're going to do is place that on top and make sure that the hole lines up with the hole in your little cylinder piece. And then again, using the blanket stitch, I'm just going to sew all the way around that edge to attach these two pieces together. Once you've done that, you should get something like this. And now I'm just going to add a little bit of stuffing to this bottom section. And then we just have to attach these two pieces together. So you can place the bottom piece inside the top piece like that and line up the edge. And then using red thread and a blanket stitch, I'm going to sew all the way around this edge. Before you sew all the way around, you can add some stuffing to the top piece and then sew up the gap. And then once you've done that, then we are finished. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you do make this plush, then I would love to see a video response. And thank you so much for watching. Bye guys! Hey guys, here's what we're going to be making today. It is this little orange plushie. And as you can see, these little slices inside are removable, so you can take them out like this. And I actually think this plushie turned out really cute. It's one of those plushies that looks quite complicated when you first look at it, but actually when you break it down, it's quite simple to make. So I really hope you guys enjoy, and I'm just going to get started by listing the materials that you will need. To make this plush, you will need felt in the colours black, cream and 2 shades of orange. You will also need thread in matching colours, the template which you can download in the video description, fabric scissors, a sewing needle and some stuffing. First we're going to make these orange slices. Using your light orange felt and this lemon shaped template, cut out one piece. Then you will also need to cut out 2 of these larger triangle pieces and 4 smaller triangle pieces. Now using your cream coloured felt and this template, cut out 2 semicircle pieces. Now it's time to start sewing. Thread your needle with orange thread, and we're going to sew these orange triangles onto the semicircle pieces using a fell stitch. Here is what that looks like, and now you're going to do the exact same thing with this other piece. As you can see, I'm just using a fell stitch to sew on these pieces, but if you are looking to save some time, or if you find it easier, you can also use glue and glue the pieces on instead. The brand of glue that I use is called UHU, recommended by my good friend Aiko, so I would definitely recommend you guys try that one out if that's what you would like to do. Of course, it's completely up to you. I just chose to sew mine on because I like the way it looks, but it does take a really long time. Just a warning for those of you that want to try out this tutorial. Okay, so once you've done that, you should end up with 2 pieces just like this. And now we're going to make the sort of side piece of the orange slice. So take your lemon shaped piece, and I'm going to line it up with this edge, and then using a blanket stitch, I'm going to sew all the way along there to secure this piece onto this piece like this. Once you reach the other end, you should end up with something like this. And now we're going to take the other piece that we made earlier and place it on top, and then I'm just going to do the exact same thing again. I'm going to use my blanket stitch and sew all the way along here. Once you've done that, you can knot and then cut off your thread. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of stuffing into the inside of your orange slice. And then using cream coloured thread, or I'm actually going to use white because it matches the colour better, I'm just going to sew a blanket stitch down this edge to keep that closed. And then once you've done that, then your little orange slice is finished. So you guys could put a little face on here if you wanted to. I chose not to, but I think if I was making it as a plushie on its own, then I would probably add a face to make it rather cute. But yeah, what you need to do is make 4 more of these until you have 5, and then we're going to move on to making the actual orange skin or peel. Okay, so to make the outside part of the orange, you will need to cut out 5 pieces from your larger lemon shape, and I'm using dark orange felt. Now thread your needle with orange thread, and placing 2 of these pieces back to back, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a blanket stitch to sew from one point up until around about 2/3 of this edge. Here is what that looks like, and we are going to be flipping these pieces inside out, so make sure your threads are on the outside right now. Now taking this piece, we're just going to open it up like this and place another one of your lemon shaped pieces on the inside, and then starting from the same place as last time, we're going to do the exact same thing, just sew up this edge around about 2/3 of the way. Here is what that looks like, and now I'm going to do the same thing to attach the 4th and final lemon shaped pieces. Okay, so once all 5 pieces are connected, it should look something like this. And now this is optional, but I'm going to give my little orange a face. So as you can see, I've just cut out these 2 little black circles from black felt, and I'm going to sew this onto this orange piece using a fell stitch. Here is what that looks like, and now I'm also going to use my black thread to give him a little mouth. Here is what that looks like, and as you can see, I also used pink thread to sew on some little cheeks. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it back out, and I'm just going to sew up this final edge using a blanket stitch, but remember, we're only going to sew up about 2/3 of the way. Once you've done that, you can flip it inside out, and then the skin or peel of the orange is finished. I'm actually just going to do one more little thing. I cut out this little star shaped piece from dark brown felt, and I'm just going to sew that onto the bottom to make it look like a real orange. Here is what that looks like, and then all you have to do is put all of the little orange pieces inside and your plushie is finished. So I think it turned out really cute. I'm glad that they actually fit inside there. I was worried that my measurements were going to be wrong. But yeah, if you guys make this plush, I would love to see. So you guys can leave me a video response to this video, or you could post a picture on my Facebook wall, or here is what that looks like, and then all you have to do is put the little orange pieces inside like this, and then your plushie is finished. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you do make this plush, then I would love to see a video response, or you could post a picture on my Facebook wall or on Instagram, and I will make sure to check it out and like it and stuff. So yeah, if you have any requests for next week's tutorial, you can leave those in the comment section, and other than that, thank you for watching. Bye guys! Hey guys, here's what we're going to be making today. It is this little pumpkin plush, and I just really wanted to do something simple because my last plush tutorial was so complicated, but I really do think this guy turned out really cute, and he only took about half an hour to make, so that is awesome. So yeah, I'm just going to get started by listing the materials that you will need. To make this plush, you will need felt in the colours orange, brown, black and green. You will also need the same colours in thread, the template which you can download in the video description, fabric scissors, a sewing needle and some stuffing. First, use a coloured pencil to trace around your pumpkin template onto orange felt. Then fold your felt in half and cut out the shape. You should get 2 identical pieces. Now use your leaf template to cut out 2 green pieces and your stalk template to cut out 2 brown pieces. Now I'm going to be using safety eyes for this tutorial, but if you prefer you can cut out 2 black circles from felt and use those instead. Now it's time to start sewing. Thread your needle with orange thread, and then using a back stitch sew a straight line all the way down the middle of one of your front pieces. Then sew 2 more lines either side of your middle line like this. Now once you've done that, you can attach the eyes and then use black thread to sew on a little mouth. This is optional, but you can also use some pink thread to give him blush, or watch my video on how to sew faces to give you some other ideas. Now once you've done that, we're going to move on to making the stalk and the leaf. So thread your needle with brown thread, and then placing the 2 stalk pieces back to back, I'm going to sew along these 3 edges using a blanket stitch. Here is what that looks like, And now do the same thing for your 2 leaf pieces. Next, add a really tiny amount of stuffing to these 2 pieces, and then we're going to start to put the whole pumpkin together. Take your stalk and leaf pieces and place them just behind the pumpkin piece at the top, and then taking your back piece, place it on the back so that these 2 pieces are sandwiched in between the front and the back pieces. Then use the blanket stitch to sew across this top edge, and that will secure these 2 pieces in place. Don't forget, if you don't know how to do this, then I do have a video on it, so I'm going to link that in the video description. Once you've done that, simply carry on sewing with the blanket stitch until you reach this point, and then you can add some stuffing and then sew up the gap. And then once you've done that, then we are finished. So yeah, if you like, you can make this little guy into a keychain. I chose not to because I just thought he looked quite cute as a plush. But yeah, if you guys do make this plushie, then I would really love to see a video response. And thank you so much for watching. Bye guys! Hey guys, so today's video is actually part 2 of my Rilakkuma bento box tutorial. If you haven't already seen part 1 where I made this little box right here, then you can click this annotation, or I will leave a link in the video description so you can go and watch that first. But right now I'm going to be showing you guys how to make the food to go inside. I did read through all of you guys' suggestions on my last video and I picked my favourites, and so that's what we're going to be making today. First I'm going to show you this little hot dog octopus, then these little onigiris, these vegetables, and finally this sushi. So I'm sorry if this video is really long. I tried to make it as quick and simple as I could, and yeah, I hope you guys like it. Okay, so to make the octopus, you'll need to cut out 1 piece from each of your templates using brown felt. And this is optional, but I also cut out 2 little black eyes and I sewed those on using a fell stitch. Now thread your needle with brown thread, and then taking your long piece, turn it over so that the right side is out, and we're going to sew each of these little triangles together using a blanket stitch. So just put the points together like that and then sew down that edge. Here is what that looks like with one side sewn up, and now we're going to do the same for this side and also this side. Finally, sew down the last side, and then you can also carry on sewing down so that you sew all the way along this edge. When you're sewing down the final side, don't sew all the way down to the tip, try to stop at the start of the tentacle. So once you've done that, it should look something like this, and then we're just going to flip this piece inside out, just like that. And as you can see, it's starting to look like a little octopus. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this flower piece that we cut out earlier and just place the octopus on top. And then using a blanket stitch and a brown thread, we're going to start to sew all the way around. Before you sew all the way around, don't forget to add some stuffing and then sew up the gap. And then once you've done that, then your little sausage octopus guy is finished. To make the onigiri, use your template to cut out 2 pieces from white felt. You will also need to cut out a short strip like this using black felt. Now thread your needle with black thread, and then taking your black strip, place it at the bottom of one of your white pieces. If you prefer, you can do it on top, but that's completely up to you. And then using my black thread and a fell stitch, I'm going to sew along these 3 edges to secure that in place. Here is what that looks like. And now take your other onigiri piece and place it right on there like that, so that the black strip is again on the bottom of the little triangular shape. And we're just going to use the fell stitch again to secure that in place. When you're sewing the second part, don't forget to leave this gap in the middle, and that's because when we fold it back together again, it's going to kind of fold around the fabric. So now once you've done that, what we're going to do is thread your needle with white thread, and then using a blanket stitch, I'm going to sew from this edge all the way around until we get to the other side. Before you sew all the way around, don't forget to add some stuffing, sew up the gap, and then your tiny little onigiri is finished. So for the vegetables, I decided to make some peas in a pod, some broccoli, and some little star-shaped carrots. So you'll need to cut out 2 pieces from each of these templates in these colours. Then using matching thread colours, so in this case I'm using green, sew all the way around the edge to sew the 2 pieces together. If you like, you can add some stuffing and then sew up the gap. Do the same thing for all of your vegetable pieces and you should get something like this. Of course you can make as many of each piece as you like, but remember that the box is quite small, so I wouldn't make too many, otherwise they won't all fit. Finally, to make the sushi, cut one piece from this template and 2 pieces from this template from white felt. To make the inside of the sushi, I'm going to be using fabric paint, but if you prefer you can just use felt or embroidery to make the inside part instead. Here is what that looks like. And now while I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm going to use my black thread to embroider some little stitches on this long piece, and that's going to be for the sesame seeds. Here is what that looks like. And now thread your needle with white thread, and placing the 2 ends together, use your white thread and a fell stitch to secure that in place. Finally, take your top and bottom pieces and sew them onto this side piece using a blanket stitch. Add some stuffing and then your little sushi is finished. And then once you've done that, then we are finished. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I had a lot of fun making it. If you do make this plush, then I'd love to see a video response, and don't forget that you don't have to make it exactly the same way I did. I think it's really fun when you guys switch it up and do maybe different food or a different box or something like that. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye guys!